Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you have had an amazing week. If you are tuning in to the replay on Dr. Nekeshia Hammond YouTube page, be sure to like the page, share this video, and subscribe to the page. And hey y'all, thanks for joining here. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from today. Hopefully there's not too much background noise. This is actually the quietest place I could find right now. So nonetheless, I'm here live with y'all. Happy to be here. And for those of you who are brand new to Mental Health Moment is all about how do you work on becoming the best version of who you are so you can show up powerfully for yourself and for the people around you. I didn't realize I haven't been to Arizona in a while, I feel like, and I did not realize how extremely hot it was there. I was warned though. I was warned that it would be really hot. And I kid you not, when I got out of the airport and I walked outside, it felt like I walked into an oven. Like I was like, why is it so hot? Because it's such dry heat. And for those of you who don't know, I reside in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. We usually have a lot of humidity. So I'm used to walking outside and sweating within like 2 minutes of being outside in the summer heat. But it was completely opposite, of course, in Arizona and like a desert. So it was, very dry heat and extremely hot feeling. I do apologize if you hear any background noise because, this is the quietest place I could find right now. But nonetheless, let me give you a couple quick announcements today. And then we will get started here. So let me make sure I'm giving you the right dates. Yes. Okay. So the other thing is for upcoming events, you can always go to right here on my website here, drnekeshiahammond.com/events. My team and I are doing the best that we can. Sometimes things just happen very rapidly, but we're doing the best we can to update that tab for you with events that I'll be at this year. So I feel like it's so loud outside. Hopefully you guys can't hear all that. Okay, Saturday, August 23rd. So that's Saturday, August 23rd. There's a free workshop in the Tampa Bay area. Again, drnekeshiahammond.com/events is where you can go to get more information to register for the workshop. It is for teens. Well, it is for preteens and teens. So anyone upcoming 6th through 8th graders and also parents in the morning. So I'll be speaking to the parents about how do we keep our kids emotionally healthy. So again, that's Saturday, August 23rd in Tampa Bay. The other event coming up here, super excited about, Friday, October 24th. I'll be hosting my second annual Growth, Mindset, and Self-Care Summit. Will be in Atlanta. So again, Friday, October 24th. It is an all-day event. Plus, we have some networking afterwards. So great event, some great speakers. I'm about to announce the speakers here coming up very soon. And you can, again, drnekeshiahammond.com for that one, or mindsettrainingsummit.com. So again, mindsettrainingsummit.com. The other thing is there is a special promo code for BWE members. It is BWE100 to save $100 off your ticket. So that's BWE100 to save $100 off your ticket. Let me put it in the chat, even though I do apologize because I don't know why it never wants to put the comment in for my LinkedIn people. So I do apologize. But it is hi from the UK and from Texas. But it is, the text should go through, the promo code should go through on YouTube and also Facebook. Okay. I think those are all my announcements. I feel like there's something else. Oh no, wait, there's one more. Sorry. Okay, one more announcement and then I'll get started on Saturday, August 30th. I'll be doing a free webinar. It is virtual. A free webinar at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And that one, I will get you more information to register here soon. And it will be at drnekeshiahammond.com/events. And that is all about how do we make sure that we are preventing burnout, right, for ourselves, and some strategies to work on making sure you're protecting your mental energy. So I'll get you that information, but I wanted you to save the date. Oops, and I shut my phone. Okay, that's the last announcement. But I wanted you to save the date again. That's on Saturday, August 30th. Okay. So for those of you again who are new, Mental Health Moment is all about how do we work on becoming the best version of who we are so we can show up powerfully for ourselves and those around us. So on today's Mental Health Moment, I wanted to share a couple of tips with you today because I feel like there is a myth about mental health sometimes. There's this idea that, like, if something's going on in your life that you're maybe struggling with, that you're not allowed to also be thriving. And I really think that's not true. Because the reality is that you can be in a place where you are healing and thriving at the same time. This can be an and conversation for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be an or. And sorry about the background. You can just ignore those people walking by. I have no idea what that is. Okay. A couple of tips on how you can rethink, right? Because everything I teach you all is about mindset training. It's in my book too, but I wanted to share it with on Mental Health Moment. But is to rethink the idea of the fact that you can be healing from whatever it is that's going on in your life and thriving at the same time. Okay, so first tip. So I know some of you are my note takers, which is all good. So you can write this down. But the first tip is to really think about, for you, how can you redefine what thriving really looks like? Because again, I hope you're not, but if you're of the mindset that you like thriving means that nothing's going on in your life, everything is great, everything is perfect, that's a really, really hard standard to live by. It's very unrealistic. We're all dealing with something or another. Something's harder than others, but nonetheless, we all have problems are always going to exist, right? But you can tell yourself things like, okay, I'm thriving because I'm showing up for myself, right? Like maybe you're showing up for yourself and you're showing up for yourself consistently, even in the midst of dealing with whatever it is that you're dealing with. So again, thinking about, okay, for you thriving. So again, let me back up. If you take, there's everything's about mindset, right? But if you take the idea, if you think to yourself that again, thriving looks like everything's perfect, everything's going right, it's going to be really frustrating to live with that type of mindset. If you think of yourself, whatever it is that you may be dealing with right now, whether it's something going on with your friendships, something going on with your relationships, something going on at work, something going on with your family members, whatever it is, maybe it's something personally going on with you, whatever it is that you're dealing with, still work on the healing process. We've talked at length about different ways that we can heal, right? And also know that you can give yourself credit, right, for showing up for yourself, for saying, okay, I showed up for myself today. I'm consistently showing up for myself today. You get credit for that, right? The other thing to understand is that sometimes you could really be in a place, and I've said this before, Mental Health Moment, but if you really think about the blessings in your life, even though there's one part of your life that may not be going well, but you have more good moments than bad, right? You can think of that for you as, you know what, I'm still thriving, even in the midst of the hard things, the hard situations, the events that happened, the events that didn't happen, all of that, like you're still thriving, right? You're allowed to do that. Again, Dr. Hammond here with your Mental Health Moment, going over a couple tips today of how we can think about healing and thriving at the same time. It can be an and for you, okay? The second thing, someone said, yay. The second thing is for you to think about making space for progress and pain. Like, I mean, we can be in physical pain or we can be in emotional pain or some level of pain, but also give yourself credit for the progress towards your healing, right? You don't have to be at the finish line to celebrate. So I used to, for those of you who don't know or didn't read mindset training, because I talked about that in the book, but I used to train for half marathons, 13.1 miles, if you didn't know. Really long race, like super ridiculous, right? But what I learned over time is, if I waited, which took like 2 hours, by the way, to do this race, if I waited to the very, very end of the race to celebrate, That's exhausting, by the way. I look back and I'm like, dang, I had a lot of energy back there. No, but it's exhausting. It's sort of like life, though. I always think of life as a race sometimes. If you wait to the very end of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish or whatever healing means to you, that may take a while. Like there's certain things that you're experiencing, which is okay, but there's certain things you're experiencing that are going to take some time to heal from, depending on what it is. It may take a day, a month, a year, 10 years, right? So why not then think about allowing yourself to have joy along the way as you are healing. Allow yourself to sort of celebrate the moments of victory, whatever those milestones look like. It doesn't just have to be at the end when you feel fully healed, right? If you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I feel 10% healed, I want you to celebrate that for you, right? You're on the journey. If you're like, I'm 20%, I'm 30%, 40%, wherever you're at, whatever that feels like to you, make sure you are celebrating yourself and your progress along the way. Because we don't often celebrate the baby steps. We're always waiting to the finish line, right? Don't wait until the finish line. When you think about, so the tip number 2 was to think about as you have this progress, right, towards healing. Because if you make a commitment towards healing and you say to yourself, whatever it is that you're going through, I want to heal, I want to get better, there's going to be progress points along the way, right? Whether you need to forgive yourself for something, you need to forgive someone else for something, whatever that healing is, or you're going through something, give yourself the credit along the way. And I want you to practice, because I know this is not an overnight process, but also think about how you can feel whatever it is you're feeling. Emotions are okay, they're valid, without judgment, because it's very easy for us to get into the self-blame game, right? Without judgment, feeling whatever it is you're feeling. If you're feeling anger, if you're feeling nervous, if you're feeling sad, maybe you're feeling hopeful, there's positive emotions too, right? Think about how you're feeling. Allow yourself to have the feelings without judging yourself, without judging the situation, right? Like you're allowed to feel, by the way, through the process too. That's a whole nother mental health moment. So I want you to think about it as tip number 2, right? To really make sure that you celebrate the progress along the way, right? And you know what milestone that is for you, because again, healing comes in many different forms, right? But any little step, it's funny, I was on I think, I don't know, it was a couple months ago, but I was on a grief podcast. I was on a podcast and we were talking about grief. And I'm like, and I believe me, I know I've gone through some grief journeys as well. Like grief is hard. It's just really hard. But fill in the blank for you. If it's grief, if it's something else you're dealing with, it's not that you're taken away from the difficulty of that experience, but it is getting into the mindset to know I'm still allowed to have joy. I'm still allowed to thrive during this process. I'm still allowed to celebrate the small wins. Like all of that is okay. You're allowed to do that, right? Which actually takes me to my 3rd tip, which is to make sure, again, that you're celebrating the small wins. So I think we talked on the podcast, even if, like I said, grief, for example, really difficult. It's hard. So if maybe you're in that space where you're like, man, it's hard to eat, or it's hard to sleep, or it's hard to experience joy because maybe you have guilt about experiencing joy, whatever it is in those lines. When you do get to the point where you're like, okay, today I was able to get up and take a shower. Today I was able to eat breakfast. Today I was able to talk to a friend, right? Like those, sometimes it's baby steps. It's okay. I want to make sure that you're celebrating those things too. Because there's just, like I said, there's just things that are really hard to deal with in life. And things that are, someone says true, grief is hard. It is. It's so hard. Even as some of you know, my grief story, which I also shared in the book, Mindset Training. But it's been, this month actually is 5 years since I lost someone very close to me, a very close mentor. And it is difficult. Like it just is. But though, even it's easier now 5 years later than 5 years ago. But even when it was like at the worst and extremely difficult, I still gave myself permission during that time to be experiencing joy too. I still gave myself permission to be thriving and healing. And I also knew, because I can get into a whole long story about this, but because I did have thoughts of giving up on some of the goals and some of the dreams I had and all those things, because this was a close mentor of mine that was working with me on these things, but I knew that's not what he would ever want. So that's something that I was also like, okay, let me try to make him proud, right? But I do want to share again, like I said, I know we're talking a little bit about grief today, but that if it's grief or whatever it is, celebrate the small wins too. Give yourself permission, like I talked about, to have the joy and be healing at the same time. Have the moments of joy, right? It may not be weeks of joy. If you're dealing with something difficult, you're not like, oh, everything's great, right? Every day for weeks and weeks, like it's hard, right? But you can have moments of joy. We talked a little bit about micro moments of joy as well, right? Like if it's a minute, that counts, right? If it's a full day, that's even better. But right, having the time, making the time, and also just when we think about even, gosh, it's so loud in the background. Sorry, y'all. When you think about even small wins, it can be something as simple as celebrating. For those of you who don't know, or you follow me on Instagram, you already know. Um, so loud outside. Okay. Even sunsets or sunrises, like simple things that we tend to take for granted, those count too as small wins. I even put it on my stories today, like this beautiful view I have. I'm like, you know what? That's a win. That's my Zen moment, right? Like just looking over this bay and the view, which is really beautiful. So again, it's the smallest thing. If you get to a point, some of you may be working on your self-talk. We've talked a lot about that. Also, mental health moment. Then you get to the point where you're like, you know what? I talked to myself so kindly today. That counts too, right? Like it's small things. Like it doesn't always have to be these grand things that you're celebrating. So I want you to think about that through your healing journey. So those are some things. I'm going to wrap up here, but those are some things that I hope that you really start to implement. It does take time. As I always say on Mental Health Moment, I wish these things were overnight. I wish there was a magic wand, but there's not. Just as with anything, things take time, but try to put these practices into play for you. Try to first step is to understand you are allowed to thrive and be healing at the same time. That is possible. That is possible. Like your mind, there has to be a shift in your mind where you say, okay, I believe this for me. Like this is possible for me, right? Get in that mindset first, and then you can start to do some of these things. Like I said, redefining what it looks like, understanding how important it is to celebrate the small wins, giving yourself permission to acknowledge that you have progress toward this. Maybe for some of you, there's some boundaries that you need to be honoring, and you start honoring that for you. Like that's huge, actually, right? So celebrate yourself. That's allowed. Okay. So as I as I wrap up today's mental health moment, again, I really hope that you take the mindset shift, start working on the mindset shift. Some of you guys are already there, actually. You're like, yep, I'm allowed to thrive and I'm allowed to have the joy in my life through the healing process, which is awesome. So if you're in that place, amazing, then start to implement some of these tips. If for you, you're like, nope, I don't even believe that, or I'm not in that place yet, that's okay. That's where you're at. We're all at a different place in our healing journey. Then you start from there saying, okay, maybe it's affirmations for you. Maybe it's you telling yourself and understanding this is possible for you, because it is, right? Maybe it's a self-love thing. You need to talk to yourself about how you're deserving. You are deserving of joy. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have joy in your life. You deserve to be emotionally healthy. You deserve all those things in your path to healing, right? Again, I don't want to minimize, because we all go through all different sorts of circumstances. I've heard thousands and thousands of stories from people globally of just, like life stories. Like, and some of the stuff is hard, right? That we're dealing with. So I definitely don't want to minimize it. But also I've met, a lot of people with really amazing, resilient stories where I'm like, wow, like it's amazing, like that you've gotten through what you've gotten through. But a lot of it is their mindset, because there's some hard stuff out there, right, to be going through, but it's their mindset, right, that got them through. Okay, so if you guys need me before next Tuesday, you can always reach out, or actually you can connect with me on Dr. Nekeshia Hammond. All my social media links. Wait, let me find it. Okay, this one is here on the screen here. Dr. Nekeshia Hammond on all social media platforms, or drnekeshiahammond.com. As I mentioned again, /events is where you can go to see the latest updates for upcoming events that are happening. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, you guys.